Hello my friends, welcome to Honest Violets. You may think that I'm in a jungle, but no my friends, we are again in Italy, again in a wonderful greenhouse, Henry and the garden. And stay with me till the end of the video because today we will be talking about lavender problems. Even though lavenders are low maintenance plants, I have seen that how many of you had problems with them. I myself had also problems with them, and that's why I'm taping this video just for you to help you, first of all, to identify the cause, to understand the problem, and then to understand also how to revive your plants. And if you keep them healthy, you can have the same bush of lavender for like 15-20 years. Because it's a natural process, your lavender would get old, would get wooden stems, would get all woody and will not grow and will not bloom anymore. But by that time you can have, of course, lots of stems that you can propagate. You can propagate your lavender from seeds or from stems, and then you can always have fresh lavenders in your gardens or at home. So let's jump into the problems. So problem number one, and this was, I guess, the case with many of you who commented under my YouTube videos and also on Facebook and in the messages. Well, your plant was dying. The stems, the leaves turned brown and it was kind of wilted. So the most probable cause for this is overwatering. So if you are watering your plant too much or too frequent, or the soil is staying wet or moist for a very long time and it doesn't get dry quickly, this may cause root rot. And we will be talking first about the problems, and then I will tell you how to revive your lavenders. Problem number two is if the leaves turn yellow. Most probably the reason for this is the fertility of the soil. Maybe you are fertilizing your lavender too much, and this can be a reason that your lavender is not growing properly and looks a bit sick. Problem number three, if your stems, the stems of your lavender are wooden and your plant is not blooming. Most probable cause for this is not pruning. Of course, you can prune your lavenders in the spring and in the autumn, but it's better to do it in the spring, so that if you do it in autumn, maybe it will be a little bit harder for your plant to overcome winter. So just prune your lavenders in the spring. And the problem number four, if you notice that everything is fine with your lavender, but it simply is not growing, even if it's spring or summer, the period where your lavender usually is actively growing. And now let's talk about reviving. So problem number one was root rot caused by overwatering. What you can do, if you grow your lavenders in the gardens, of course you will need to wait a little bit with the watering until the soil gets dry. Of course this will be possible if you are living in a climate which is quite warm, so that the soil gets dry quickly. And also if you are growing them as a house plant or just outdoors but in a pot, again, you can wait a little bit until the soil gets dry and then water it when the soil is completely dry, because for lavenders it's very important that between the periods of watering your lavender, the soil of your lavender gets dry. Of course, to help with this, you can also have sandy soil. That's number one, and of course, holes in your pots. Besides that, what you can also do if you are growing your lavenders in pots, but in climates that you know that your soil will not get dry over a day or two, so this will be a longer period for the lavender and the roots will still get sit in the moist, in wet soil. So for that you can just take out your plant from the pot. You can use a spoon or maybe a fork, not a knife, because with the knife you can easily cut the roots. But with a spoon you can just take out your plant from the soil, investigate the roots, just have a look at them and see if there are some rotten roots. Then of course you will need to cut them and replant it, repot in a fresh soil. For that you can use 30% soil, 70% compost. And the soil, of course, when you repot, should not be moist. It should be just a little bit moist, but not too wet. And you need to repot it and stop watering until the soil gets dry. Problem number two was leggy growth and yellow leaves. For this, of course, you will need to stop fertilizing or again repot in a soil that will be fit for the lavenders. As I've already mentioned, use gravel, use sand, really a sandy soil, and not too much of a heavy soil that stays wet for longer periods. So stop fertilizing, because fertilizing, you're not actually helping your plant but actually harming it. The problem number 3 was woody growth, and to avoid this you can prune your lavender. In the spring, this is the best time to prune it, because you will see the difference. The older growth will be gray and the new growth will be green, and so you will also see where to prune them. So don't go too deep into the wooden parts, but just prune a little bit to encourage and to stimulate the new growth. This will also help with the blooming. Problem number 4 was not growing. So your plant just stays like this and it's not growing, even though you are sure that this is the active period of your growth of your lavender. So the problem is, maybe your plant, most probably your plant is not getting enough sun. Remember that lavenders, they like at least 6 hours of full sun per day. So you will need to move your plant, if it's in a pot, to a brighter area with full sun, like for 6 hours at least. Or if you're growing them in the sun, you will unfortunately need to repot them and bring into the area, repot into the area where it will get full sun. So I really hope that these 4 tips will help you to identify the problems with your lavender, the causes first of all, and also you will be able to revive and save your lavenders. In general, just remember that lavenders like to be on the drier side, so let the soil dry between the waterings. Choose the soil that will be sandy. You can also use compost. If you are growing them in the pots, make sure that your pots have holes. This is very important for your lavender. And also, just grow them under the full sun. Stay passionate about plants. See you next time.